Hello, everybody. I am delighted to welcome you here to this latest Future Proof podcast. And today I have the most amazing, incredible guest. I am delighted to welcome Islam El Dessouky from Coca-Cola. So, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Highlight of the year for me, and
You're
it's
too
only
kind.
January.
You're too kind. You're very kind.
So, Coca-Cola, the brand vision is captured in the line "Real Magic." And as I was just hinting at, the opportunity to record this conversation with you is a real magic moment for me, because you're someone I admire for the person you are and also for what you achieve and all that you stand for. So it's really exciting to be able to explore that and getting under the skin of the brilliance that we see. So 2024 was another absolutely fantastic year for Coca-Cola. Feels like a bit of a home run, maybe. I wondered, how did the year feel for you? What were your highlights and standout moments?
Oh, it felt great, and thank you so much for such a kind and graceful intro. When you work on a brand like Coca-Cola, you feel obliged that you have to keep the momentum. It's a brand that's been built on the shoulders of giants, and I feel that 2024 we were at least able to give to everybody who touched this brand a little bit of pride and a little bit of where this brand needs to be. So I think the highlights, of course, one of the major highlights was winning Advertiser of the Year, Creative Brand of the Year in Cannes Lions.
Wonderful.
I think that was really nice to see because and people were like, this is where Coca-Cola should be all the time. We should always look at what Coca-Cola is doing. It's a brand that always inspired and so forth. So that felt really good
Mm-hmm.
for everybody who worked on it, between the wonderful teams at WPP OpenX and all the creative teams and brand teams on Coca-Cola side, together with the support, of course, of our lovely PR team and crew. Other highlights, I think, we started also doing a lot of partnership and co-creation with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot ignore the wonderful partnership we did with Disney, launching the Coca-Cola Marvel collaboration. I think this went in a lot of places and a lot of countries. So this was like in half one of the year, the first half of the year. And second half, we had another fantastic collaboration with our friends from Mondelez, where we did the Coca-Cola Oreo collaboration,
Yeah.
where you can not only just drink it, you can also have a cookie that is also inspired by Coke. So we had a Coke inspired by Oreo as a beverage, and we had a cookie inspired by Coke as a cookie. So partnerships as well were a big highlight. I think it shows the potential, it shows the ability for Coca-Cola to open up as a canvas for others to come and work with us and partner with us. So I mean, there was a lot of other things. So we had, of course, the Christmas campaign. We had our Food Marks campaign, which was a very interesting one as well, where we brought back Marilyn Monroe to become a food
Mm-hmm.
influencer for us. So we had a lot of fun last year with a lot of things. But yes, these were pretty
Yeah.
much the highlights, dear to my heart.
Yes. Wonderful. I wondered, how would you describe the role of advertising in shaping the brand's success? And do you think that's changed over time at all?
I think the how changes. I think the what remains the same. I think advertising is a massive vehicle for brands to connect and manifest themselves to consumers,
Mm.
which is very important because marketeers sit a lot in their rooms and their discussions, and they put a lot of things on PowerPoint slides, on white papers, analysis, and all of that. But essentially, what really goes out to the world is your advertising. Of course, you have the product and the pack and all of that. That's all great, and that's what delivers at the end. But this is like the language you use to communicate to consumers, to engage them, to invite them, to make them participate and make them part of it. So I feel advertising is an essential way for brands to keep building themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, as you say, a brand kind of exists on a piece of paper, really, doesn't it? From a marketer's perspective, but where it lives is in
Correct.
people's heads. And advertising and all the experiences you create are the moments of interaction where your brand really comes to life.
100%.
Yeah.
The how changes though. So from the start of like when you started doing radio advertising or print to today, you have like a massive ecosystem that you need to really architect it in ways that, you might intercept people on social, they might see you on an app, they might see you in store, they might see you on an out of home. So you really need now to architect your advertising so that it really drives itself very differently, yet connected to the core values and core tonality of your brand. So I think it's exciting. It gives us a lot of opportunities to connect.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's never been a more exciting nor a more challenging time to be a
Correct.
marketer.
Yes,
Because
100%.
architecting and making sure those moments connect, and especially in a role like yours where you're trying to do that on a global scale and bring that global coherence must be quite a challenge. So something, a shared passion, I think we have lots, but I think this is definitely one, is that ads, as you were just describing there, are about creating that meaningful connection with your audience, a meaningful, creative, and emotive connection. And I see this coming through in the work, and I think that's a big part of the win that you described at Cannes last year that you hugely deserve. But I think it also comes from from your emotional intelligence and the way you tap into your team and into the agency to get those ideas. So in terms of creating that meaningful content and connecting with people, I know tapping into culture is something you're passionate about, understanding what those moments are that your brand can be a part of. What examples spring to mind for you of where you think you've done that particularly successfully?
So there is a lot of examples I think that we can tap onto. I'll start with Christmas. I think with Christmas, we started a couple of years ago saying the world needs more Santas. And I remember the first time this expression was shared with us in the room, and everybody just warmed up to it. Like everybody felt like, you know what, this is good. This is something that we would all want to work on, would all sign up for. Like, and there is always this question that you would ask people, like, if we make a T-shirt out of this, would you wear it proudly outside? Like, would you put this T-shirt on? So if we put the world needs more Santas, just that, and put it on a T-shirt and walk outside, is this something that would express your identity, your values, and what you want to put out there? If the answer is yes, then there is a lot of meaning into it. Then we can all roll our sleeves and start working on it and cooking it so that we put the best meal out there for people. So that piece of work, I think, and you can sense it. Like you always feel when work, it's a labor of love and it comes from the heart. It touches you because even if it's an advertising, you feel the energy that came behind it. It shows, it feeds it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the world needs more Santas is probably a very good example of that, where we felt, you know what, this is a very nice sweet spot between the shared values that Coca-Cola would have with a big cultural and meaningful moment like Christmas for people. And we felt that, okay, you know what, giving, generosity, kindness, all of that is desired, and the reminder of it is also quite appreciated.
Absolutely.
So that's just one example of how that manifested. The other example is I think it's one of our most awarded campaigns in Cannes, which is the Thanks for Co-Creating, or Every Coca-Cola is Welcome, which I think here the interesting part about it was somebody also stood up in a room and said, why do we always chase the moms and pop stores that are really proud of serving Coca-Cola, but they show it in their own artistic way? And we were like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean we push that? Like, what's the point of this? And the guy was like, hey, if you look at, I mean, and because this started in Latin America, and he's like, hey, in Brazil, we have a lot of mom and pops, and the guy would be super proud of selling Coke, but he wants to put art by himself to showcase that this store sells Coca-Cola, but this art is not done by your agencies, so it's not on guidelines. So the Spencerian font, that famous font of ours, is not necessarily adhered to. The color might be a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
tonality. The bottle might not be your perfect contour bottle and stuff like that. But they're doing it not to infringe. They're doing it because they're proud of selling Coca-Cola in their stores. So we should maybe look at it this way and try to embrace them, because this is like an art one of one. And when and again, it's these ideas that stop you, that make you question, that make you feel, oh, actually the actual intent of them doing this is true. It's a labor of love as well. They're very proud of selling Coke. And we started going for some of them, and even one of them was in Australia, and they serve a town of a population of 200 people. You know what I mean? And when we knocked on his door, I was like, hey, are you open that we feature you, your art, talk about you, and you might even be shown on somewhere like big out of home and big this, and Brazil will learn about your store here in Australia. And they were all like taken by surprise. Are you like really like you're interested in my art? Like they're like, okay. So, so I think once you start questioning and once the conversation is so authentic and you start building it, it just shows. And then all the hurdles move away, like hurdles of either budgets or timelines or this. Everybody just works so seamlessly on making it happen.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So wear it on a t-shirt, and where you get that feeling, and I suppose you can feel the energy in the room as well, can't you? When there's an excitement and everybody comes on board with an idea, that must be something that you can feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I really like the conversation there's been about meet me at the Coke sign, which I think is recognizing, a place or a role that the brand plays in culture, but now you're really turning it into something, into more of an experience. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I think we also started, so it's a double conversation because there is out of home and there is stories. So we've been trying to really make a renaissance of out of home because we feel that outdoor as a medium, as a vehicle, doesn't get a lot of THC these days. I think people are absolutely going after everything that can give you a lot of data or programmatic or digitizing and all of that. While out of home is one of the oldest vehicles for us to connect with people. And we need to move away from the notion that it's a static 2x2 or two-dimensional kind of vehicle or medium.
Mhm.
It's an invitation. Like you should see an out of home. We know that people don't put a lot of time in front of the out of home, unlike other things. But we should treat it as another way of interrupting and another way of engaging and another way of inviting people. And then came the insight from the team in Australia, who I really loved how they pushed on this and how they went about it. They're like, hey, our out of home, they are part of people's lives in the sense of it's a meeting point, and whenever we have two people coming to meet somewhere, this is actually real magic because real magic is all about people coming together, and when they come together,
Yeah.
they make the moments magical, and that's why it's real magic, a real connection creating the magical outcome.
Hmm.
So, like, that's actually the proof point of it that when people say, meet me at the Coke sign, you're going to go. And then we want to see all of these stories. So, how about we just tell people what they actually tell us back? They say, meet me at. So, we're like, meet me at Coke sign. And then there's a small QR code. Upload your stories. What happened? What are the stories of a lot of the people who met there? So, we felt that this is a celebrating that our out of home has become a landmark in people's lives, that people use it to actually create a connection. And it doesn't have to be that the bottle always comes in and all of, because people like, okay, so are people drinking, are people, it's our brand is so multidimensional, is so iconic, is so loved that people drink us, yes. So it's just that we wanted to be celebrating that part of people's lives, specifically that it's been there for 50 years. So there's a lot of stories. It could be multi-generational stories. It could be that the grandparents met there and then the parents and then even the newer generation. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
so it's so when the team did it, we're like, and we love it when it's so meaningfully, it's so simple. It's just such a simple idea. Meet me at the Coke sign. That's all that is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then and everybody who saw it just loves it because and we started receiving people telling us, oh, we have this sign in this country and in this city and in this that, and then let us know how this experiment works so that we can replicate in other places and so forth. And that's again a labor of love that people
Yes.
see it. It's simple, it's meaningful, it's authentic, relevant, and then it goes everywhere. Just like our beautiful brand, it goes everywhere.
And it's the thing I think is really powerful about it is it's especially memorable because
Correct.
now, some interactions with advertising can be very fleeting. And out of home, as you said, can be one of those. So you've got, a few moments to catch people's attention and create memory. But when you make it more than that, when you attach meaning to it, people remember it.
It's a beautiful point, and I think You're absolutely right, and that's why we always like to say that Coca-Cola is a feeling. The power of the brand is this is how it makes you feel.
Hmm.
And Maya Angelou always said that you would remember how it made you made you feel. You're
Yes,
not going to remember what people said. You're not going to remember this or that, but you're going to remember how they made you feel.
there you go.
And I think this quote always sticks in my head because that's what makes it memorable because you felt something. I mean, we're trying to make it positive because you can also remember negative
Yeah,
feelings quite quite well. But we're a brand that wants to always be on the positive side
yeah,
of things.
yeah. But I think you're also anchoring it in more than just positive, in the essence of what you want those experiences to be about. About connection, about authenticity, about magic. That is the truth in our lives. Are the small moments are often actually the biggest and the most important ones because they're the things we live every
100%.
day.
100%.
Um, yeah, so I mean, you had Playable Billboard, you've had Magic Catch, done some really interesting things with out of home. And I think when people think of out of home, they don't think about emotion. And I believe, and we see evidence of that at Kantar, that emotion is key to every encounter with your brand being effective. Would you agree? What's your view on that?
Absolutely. My view is that it's such an important piece of real estate that offers a lot of opportunities. I think the minute we look at out of home this way, it really unlocks it behind just a white canvas that is, I don't know, 5 by 12 or 4 by 6, or because people, to your point, a lot of people look at it as like, okay, you know what, out of home is that small place. It's either a rectangle or a square or whatever, and you just need to put one simple message and just move on. Surely that's on the intrinsic level, that's what out of home is all about. And yes, and we should use it for that as well. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of opportunity for us to create conversations. There's a lot of opportunity for us to make people feel engaged, to make
Hmm.
people feel positively disposed to your brand. And yes, you're not going to do a playable billboard everywhere you go or every day you go because it requires different levels of technology or investment or this or that. But it's still an example of what you could do. Like the playable billboard, we piloted it in Milan and in Romania, in Bucharest, and people went crazy with it. It was a simple idea. It's a red screen, it's a digital out of home, and catch the contour bottle in a picture. It's so simple. It is so simple, but it's an invitation, and I would really hardly doubt that anybody felt negative that day who tried to catch the Coke, even if you did not.
Yeah.
I mean, just you just had to disconnect from all the busy things that life throws at you, and you tried for a minute or two to just catch a Coke. That is memorable, to your point. Versus, I can have this same out of home and use it in, now we have 250% more, or we have this, or we have that. So any promotional offer, or now we have a new flavor, or now we have this. Because people see this across industries all the time. So offering people the small moments, to your point, you could do that on out of home still. You don't have to do a festival. You don't have to do, you can just pick a piece of out of home and do it. And then people will subscribe to it and sign up. I was tagged in some of the stuff in Romania, and some of my friends that I knew, they're like, dude, this is so cool. You should do this every day.
Yeah, I want to play.
100%. You should. You should.
It's that element of playfulness, isn't it? And that real magic. That, as you say,
Correct.
the simple ideas are the best, and in that moment, you're creating something that people will remember
Absolutely.
and talk about. Um, so, emotion, though, of course, although it's important, it isn't everything. Because yes, we know people pay attention to things that make them feel something. They remember things, as that beautiful Maya Angelou quote says. We remember what we felt, not what was said. And entertainment, of course, is a key part of advertising effectiveness. But you've got to make sure you have that connection to your brand. And I think people may look at you with envy and think, oh, that's easy. No, they're Coke. They've got all these distinct and brand assets. That's an easy job. Is it an easy job?
I think it's a fun job, and it's full of challenges and opportunities. It's not easy. I don't think there is any. I don't think there's such a thing as an easy job, because the minute you think your job is easy, you're going to be complacent, you're going to be lazy, and you're not going to push forward, and you're not going to try to do different things and keep having this thirst and this desire to keep pushing. But to your question, I think actually choosing to do emotional communication is actually the easier side of things.
Mm-hmm.
It is not difficult in the sense of to go emotional is basically a lazy way of trying to escape the functional or rational conversation, which is very important.
Yeah.
And I think people also misinterpret, like, hey, but functional communication is boring, rational is boring. It is not, because end of the day, humans are not. We do not have separate beings. Like we do not. I do not have an emotional version of Islam and a rational version of Islam. You see me as one person, and I think the minute you combine physical or intrinsic and emotional or extrinsic, and you fuse them together as a brand, and this is what you use as a code of communication, you become unstoppable.
Yeah.
Given that your emotional side is very well defined and consistently adhered to, and given that also your functional or physical is also unique, because if I am offering the same as the other 100 competitors that I have physically, and emotionally I am not consistent, so I am doing nothing. I am just a one off, I am just a me too, and there is no need to communicate to begin with.
Yeah.
But if you define that well and you go and communicate emotionally and physically together, you're unstoppable as a brand.
Yes.
And we see it in other brands and other categories. I mean, Coke is definitely one example, because we're very proud of our taste and our refreshment credentials and how we complement food and all of that. But at the same time, we are also very proud that we are super inclusive, we're very optimistic, we're always positive and all of that. So you combine both and you get a lot of magic. But you see that on brands like Dove, you see that like brands like Heinz, you see that
Mm-hmm.
on, and these are all fast moving. I didn't want to go into other industries, but you see it a lot, that when you get that, you get absolutely a lot of reward doing it.
Yes.
And I would add a third dimension, that if you do these two and you add a cultural lens to it, then not only you bring your brand forward, but you can also unlock first party data, you can unlock revenue, you can unlock entertainment, you can unlock a lot of things for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And I think even those things that you talked about, like taste and refreshment, there's emotion associated with those anyway. So for me, there's kind of a false disconnect often between rational and emotional. And when you're looking at innovation and people talk about product benefits, I've got to have the rational in there. Well, what people care about is what it means to them in their lives, whether that's,
100%.
but I think, the other thing I was trying to hint at is the need to connect to the brand. And so I think you do that through your distinctive brand assets, as you were saying. There's the font, there's the colours, there's the emotive coherence in how you show up. But I think you also make sure that your communications are brand centric, so that Coca-Cola always plays a central role in what's happening. So, in the way you were describing the playable billboard and trying to catch the Coke, you as you describe that, you've got to talk about Coke within that. Even in The World Needs More Santas, the brand plays a central role in how that story unfolds. Um,
Absolutely. And that's the job to be done. I mean, we are hired to make sure that we push our brands forward. Uh, Again, there could be a lot of excuses of avoiding brand centricity, because the trend is this, or people don't want to hear much about it. Like, we also hear that a lot when we talk to either creators or influencers. We don't want the brand to be in your face. We don't want to push this that much. And
mhm.
I get that they have followership and they want to maintain their authenticity and all, but then if there is a disconnect with what they're trying to showcase on our behalf and our brand, then there is something fundamentally wrong. So
Yes.
brand centricity is the main job to be done. Like, we are doing, advertising was created to advertise products and services, and products and services then became and evolved and became brands because people wanted more than just hearing about a product or a service.
Yeah.
So I feel that there shouldn't even be a conversation. Like, it's like, do we need marketing or not? It's similar when people say the brand is centric or not. Yes, the brand has to, that's the job to be done. Otherwise, we're not doing the job well.
Yeah, I love that, Islam. I love that. And actually, we see people get frustrated, the audience get frustrated when they don't know which brand something is for. But I think from a creative lens, people sometimes usually say, almost feel, oh, well, we'll put the brand in at the end. But no, I think be proud of your brand. That's what you're there to showcase and bring to life for people. So yeah,
You're
I love
spot on.
hearing that
You're
feeling, the
spot,
way you articulate it.
you're spot on. That's even one of the internal validation tests that we do together. Like, when we are looking at a piece of work, we say, okay, now remove Coca-Cola and put another brand. If it still works, then this is not for us.
Yes. Yeah.
It has to, your brand is the story. It is not tangent. It is not peripheral. We are the story. And people think that when we do that, it becomes very commercial and it's boring. And sure, we could, but then we need to fix the boredom and we fix the lack of engagement. The answer is not to remove your brand to become interesting, because we're not entertainers first. We're advertisers first, and we would love to bring entertainment value to people.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. So building a brand consistently across markets is a challenge that people in your shoes often face. So I wondered, how do you ensure that you've got that alignment? And what would your tips be for someone in your shoes about how to go about achieving that consistent authenticity, that the real magic shines through in every brand interaction?
That's a good question. Essentially, it's all a question of balance, and essentially, it's all about creating impact in each relevant community, I would say. So it could be on the market level, it could be on the city level, it could be on a smaller community level as well. So what remains to be very critical is that we embrace the foundation of the brand. There is a reason why this brand is so iconic and so well valued and so well received. We always look at the interbrand metric of looking at the value of the brands, because when somebody knocks on your door and say, hey, I would love to purchase that brand. So just purchasing an intangible, and then you see that Coca-Cola is worth tens of billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we were very meticulous and involved a lot of painstaking efforts to really make sure that the brand is what the brand is everywhere and today. So foundation has to be clear, and we should not affect that. So for example, if we're saying we're very much after inclusion, so we cannot show individualistic ads. If we are an inclusive brand, we have to always show that people come together for Coke. So that's a small example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people can come together in a context of Christmas. So there is a lot of nuances from the place that Christmas is celebrated. So we have to be very sensitive to that and very sensible to it as well. Or it can be in a context of Ramadan, or a context of Diwali, or a context of Lunar New Year, or a context of St. Patrick's Day, and so forth. So the cultural nuances and sensitivities are important for us to make sure that not only we are relevant, but we're also embracing these cultural differences in the best way possible. So foundation and cultural nuances is basically the framework. So we can be very open to make sure that the cultural nuances are clear, but the foundation should not change. Otherwise, it becomes Coca-Cola's version in North America for Christmas, in Middle East for Ramadan, or in India for Diwali, or in China for Lunar New Year, or in Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, and so forth. So you should just feel that it's the same brand, and it's really embracing the cultural differences the best way possible.
Yes, brilliant. And how important do you think having that line, real magic, is to achieving that vision and that consistency?
The line is important because the line is what unites the whole effort together. So all the communication that we're doing, this is your overarching platform. So if there isn't something as a unifier, then it looks a little bit disjointed and not coming together. It's also a reminder, not just only for consumers, but even for the marketers in the company, that this is what governs the brand at the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. So we already touched on the fact that it's the most exciting time, but also the most challenging time to be working in marketing. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing marketers today, and how do you plan to kind of lean into those?
I think that the biggest challenges are a couple in my mind. Number one is seeking attention. I think the more we are surrounded by an abundance of interruptions and trigger points, the harder it becomes for you to gain traction. So if you look
Yes.
at yourself even today as a regular person, you wake up, and then the moment you wake up, you start looking at your first screen, which is the cellular phone or the mobile.
This
And
is my dog, Islam. He's coming to
hello,
say,
he's gorgeous.
come on.
What's his name?
This is Harmony.
Harmony. Beautiful name.
Yeah, because that's what
Pleased
we
to
want
meet
to
you,
do.
Harmony. Oh,
Come on. I'm not sure. Is it not hung up? My children are here now as well. Sorry for
that's
the.
amazing.
Get it?
Full house.
Okay.
We have a full house.
His hat's downstairs. Thanks for your help. Take the doggy, please, Elliot. God, now I've been kissed by the dog. What's happening is my son is going to his dad's tonight, and
Oh,
I
amazing.
forgot he needs his scout uniform, so that's why he's here. Sorry for the interruption.
No, 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 no. Full house. Pleased to meet them all.
The blue T-shirt I think is on the maiden downstairs. You'll have to take that one. Okay. All right. Thank you, boys. There you go. Meet the family. It's a good job we can edit, isn't it? Shall we start again?
If you like, yeah. You want to start from the question again?
Okay. So, as we were saying earlier, Islam, it's never been a more exciting time, but also a more challenging time to be working in marketing. What do you see as being the biggest challenges that marketers are facing now, and how do you think you can kind of lean into those and address them?
That's actually the most important question. I think the couple of challenges I see in my head. One is attention span, so
Mm-hmm.
seeking attention. It's extremely hard, and there is an abundance of interruptions and triggers that surround us all, not just the younger generation, because people always go to the younger generation, or they don't have it. Everybody now is
I agree.
struggling with attention.
Yeah.
So you wake up in the morning and then you start with your official first screen now, which is your mobile phone or cellular phone, and you start looking at notifications, messages, who WhatsApped you, which bills we need to pay today, which meetings am I either early for or late on, and so forth. And that's already step one. You're already busy and overwhelmed with things just from the very first moment you wake up. And then the day goes with all of these. So you are either in meetings or commuting and discussing, and you want to hear some music and you want to chat with somebody, and you so it is very difficult, and especially also with the social platforms and how they evolved to become also entertainment platforms in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
So what used to be that, hey, the family would sit together and watch TV and they receive your ad and they understand it because nothing else interferes with their attention. To today, you're actually one of many. So everybody is now producing content as well. So communication has been democratized. So all the creators, everybody, like even my children are also producing content. So everybody. So I think attention is such a big, big challenge, in my opinion. And that comes with the outcome of as well, like how effective is the work and are we creating a lot of waste and all of that. So that first one, in my opinion, is extremely, extremely difficult to navigate. Do we have answers? I think we try. We try and learn and get to understand better and try to really use the right messaging for the right platforms. So they tell you if you're on Instagram, please use this. If you're on Snapchat, please do that, and so forth. So you try as much as you can to really figure it out,
Yep.
but it's difficult because end of the day people are busy, and then you wake up maybe one day and then one topic happens and then it takes over everything. So for instance, I live in Atlanta, and a few days ago, where with this polar vortex and whatnot, it started snowing on a Friday, that all of a sudden everybody in the Atlanta peripheral is out there with either family, neighbors, and whatnot, and everybody is enjoying the snow. People doing snowman, people
Mm-hmm.
trying to ski. So that becomes your Instagram feed. So no matter what brand talks, everybody is in there. Everybody wants to see the snow pictures. Everybody wants to talk about it because it's a bigger event. And this happens all the time now, either between what the entertainment world throws at you, or the sports world throws at you, or even politics and whatnot. So all of this happens. So to get the attention is extremely, extremely difficult. So that's the biggest challenge that I see in my mind. The second challenge that I see is the how do you architect your creative communication in a way that keeps it informed all the time with all the abundance of data also that we have,
Yeah.
yet without becoming absolutely paralyzed by how scientific that approach is. Because you understand that there is a lot of science into it, but there is a lot of intuition also. So how do you maintain that balance so that you maintain the discussion of, but we feel this is nice, but we, because you need to keep having people feeling that, hey, we want to try this, we want to go there. The more and more we are going into measurement and this, and I'm not saying it's not important, I'm saying it's beautiful. And we need to keep doing more, and we need to get more accuracy, and we need to understand, because learning is key. If you want to be consistent, if you don't have a learning agenda,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not going to be consistent. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be consistent, but very much in a learning agenda to be able to move forward. So, how do we do this without getting super hijacked that we become hostages of falling in love with data, while maintaining this artistic side that is very intuitive and not necessarily built on data and whatnot, so that you keep injecting stuff that is like, you know what, it just feels right. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So that would be as a creative. I'm sure if you ask a marketeer, a holistic marketeer, they'll have other challenges. But for
Yeah.
me, attention and how to find the balance between science and art is extremely important.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Not letting the data, not becoming a hostage to the data, almost.
Exactly.
Allowing it to be part of your decision making, but not make the decisions for you. Because, as you say, some of that gut instinct, and wanting to try new things and take risks is really important, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, and I think from an attention point of view, wanting to be a welcome part of people's lives is really important and not an unwelcome disruption. But also, I
Exactly.
think you're leading the way, and you've been doing this for quite a long time, I think, but I see it surfacing more and more now, is the experiential angle. So we've talked about that in terms
Absolutely.
of digital experiences, but also then, at Christmas, you had your personalized snow globe, where again, that's another way to creatively engage people through a really memorable experience. Do you think that's something that will grow in marketing?
1000%. And I think the key word is experience. And we are very vocal about that. We're moving away from exposure to experience. We need
Yeah.
to think that, okay, exposure used to be we put impressions in front of you. Experiences now, we're designing everything to really generate this experience for people, so that, to your point, it becomes more memorable, because when they remember us more, they consider us more, they consume us more, and they become loyalists eventually, which is the holy grail.
Yeah.
And to your beautiful example of the snow globes were an absolute success. Like, everybody played with them. I think we had 1 million plus at least snow globes where we launched them, which is quite a big number. Like, there's a
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
people who did snow globes. That's quite a lot. And here I have to give credit to my partner Pratik, who really built all of these experiences beautifully. He's a craftsman, believes in his work, believes in the art, believes in AI, and he built this beautiful snow globe experience in a remarkable way.
Wonderful. So I think what you just said there leads me on nicely to another question I wanted to ask you, which is, what do you think it takes to be an inspiring and an effective leader today?
Oof, that's a big question. I think leadership today, in my humble views, is a combination of things. First and foremost, you need to be grounded on two sets. Set A is your values. And I think the value system that you have, you need to be consistently adhering to it and also mentioning it, and make sure that you also demand it from others. So if you say, number one value for me is open communication, you have to deploy it. You have to really act on it. Number two value is respect. You have to command it and you have to push for it. So I think set A of values is very, very important, so that people gravitate to the values. Everybody now tries to find shared values. I think that's now the name of the game. Second, which is more important in my views, is your standards. They're not principles, they're not rules, they're standards. So if I say I always go to the finish line, I'm going to always finish the job, no matter what. That becomes a standard. And if people see it, people understand, okay, these are the values of the person and these are his standards. So now we know what we're signing up for. But more importantly is you do both with utmost authenticity, inclusion, and bravery. Because I think if you don't do that, you move automatically and you get demoted from being a leader to becoming your title. Because I think our titles are all gorgeous. I mean, I'm a director or vice president or manager or this or that. All the titles are great. Honestly, all the titles are great. Any title you see, you just go on LinkedIn and you check everybody. Everybody has a fantastic title. But leadership is not a title. Leadership is a mindset. So if you're not authentic and brave about it, and if you're not including people with you, because inclusion, people say, okay, some people have the vision and but if it's not inclusive, then who are you leading? What are you leading?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that's at least what inspires me in terms of what leadership should be about.
Yeah, I love that. And I did something in preparation I wanted to share with you. That might embarrass you a little bit, so brace yourself. But I took all the recommendations you talked about LinkedIn, all the wonderful recommendations there are on LinkedIn about you, just to see what kind of traits people pulled out when they described you as a leader. And so the strengths that came out, an inspiring leader. So I think inspiring is really important because you lead by example. Considered to be one of the most inspiring leaders with a strong understanding of brand building and creative expertise. Because that inspiration then embeds in what people do and how they behave, doesn't it? Passion and dedication. Islam's love for his work, which comes through in our conversation today. Dedication to achieving goals, which you've talked about, getting to the finishing line. And enthusiasm are seen as very inspiring. Strategic and creative, hence the role. Balancing those two, enabling you to come up with powerful concepts and creative instincts, which you talked about in terms of the feeling. But I suppose, one of the things I'm hearing from you today is, yes, it's about your instincts, but it's also the people in your team and in the room. Positive energy and empathy is something people really admire, and collaboration and partnership. And you talked about that in terms of, building partnerships with brands, but also the partnership that you have with WPP and OpenX and VML, I know you think is really important. So Islam is one of the most inspiring leaders I have ever worked with. His strong understanding on brand building, together with his creative expertise, are absolutely remarkable. But what makes him unique are his leadership behaviours. The way he manages agencies and internal clients is absolutely amazing. Determined and demanding, but humble, empathetic and collaborative like no other. I am proud of working in a company that grows talents like Islam. So I hope that didn't feel too uncomfortable listening to me singing your praises, but it's other people singing your praises. But I think what's important is, I think great work also comes from inspiring leaders who live those kind of values, and have, I think, that emotional intelligence to guide a team and judge ideas, but also have that strategic integrity that you talked about.
Oh, I appreciate that. That means a lot. It made me feel actually very humbled by all of these remarks. And I hope I can live up to them day by day, because it's important. Like we said, consistency for brands, we have to be consistent as humans as well. I think it makes the experience worth it for a lot of people, me
Absolutely.
included. Like when I look at leaders and how they are also consistent in what they manifest and express, it's important to see.
Yeah, fantastic. So I think just one final question, which is, if you had one tip for people in your kind of situation for the rest of the year, what would it be to have a great year? Where you're supporting growth through delivering highly creative and effective advertising or experiences, as we talked about.
I will use something that my mother ingrained in me. My mother is my biggest school of life. Bless her soul, she's no longer with us in this life. But she taught me always that be driven by love. Nothing beats that. It's always the answer. You can find yourself sometimes stressed, intimidated, pressured, overwhelmed. There's a lot of feelings that come to your mind when you start doing our jobs, with all the stakeholders you navigate with all the solutions that are ahead of you and all the challenges. But if you choose love personally and professionally, you become unstoppable. And this always worked for me. Just be driven by love. Love the job, love the people, love the feedback you receive, love your family, love that you've been given a day to live. Love it all. When you love it all, absolutely unbeatable.
I love that, Islam, and I'm sorry for your loss, but clearly she's very much still alive in you. Um, so thank you for our conversation. I have loved it so much, and I'm sure everybody listening will be too.
Absolutely. It's been such a privilege and honor to be with you, Lynn. And I'm really looking forward to this podcast. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.